Good evening, students. This is Deekam Pathak from Freebirch Experiences. I welcome you again to this wonderful series called Fun with NCERT. So today's session will be taken by Ms. Himashri, and without any further ado, let's get started. Ms. Himashri, please continue on with the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Innovation Hub Shillong Science Center and Freebird community for giving us this wonderful opportunity. I am Himashri Kalita, a research intern at Margin Biologics, and we have selected some fun activities based on the NCERT biology syllabus. And for today's topic, I have selected the very common name we have heard in our daily diet, that is stars. So for this, first of all, I have to say what is stars. Each of one have taken stars in our daily diet because it is the most important carbohydrate in our daily life. But how do you know that there is stars present, and what are the amount of stars present in this particular food that I have taken today or I will take it tomorrow? So for that, we have selected a very fun activity. But first, I have to say that this is not a laboratory protocol to determine the amount of starch present in any item. This is just an activity to gain the knowledge and to give all of us a very basic idea what is starch and what are the food items that we use daily have the most amount of starch in it. So starch is present almost in every vegetable or every vegetable or fruits we have in our daily life. But the amount of starch is depend. It is variable. Some have more starch amount in it. Some has very less. How do you know that this has less amount of starch in it and it will have more amount of starch in it, and how can we know it by a very simple experiment. So let's get started with today's fun activity, which is determine the amount of starch present in the daily life used vegetable or fruits. So for this experiment, I have taken some very common vegetable that is found in every home. Potato, squash, celery, carrot, ginger, and some sprouts and rice. To start with my activity, first I will boil some rice to I will boil this rice in this microwave. You can use any apparatus for boiling you have. I have the microwave, so I will use it. And for this glassware, you can use anything that you have, any utensil you have. In my lab, glasswares are pretty common, so I have used this. So while my rice is getting boiled, now I will cut these vegetables and for an accurate amount so that I can compare the amount of starch in it. I will cut this in a very similar way and in a very accurate amount of almost 2 grams for each one of this. So for that, I have already cut some pieces of every vegetable here, and now I will weigh this so that we can get an approximate idea how much starch is present in the particular vegetable. And I will take almost equal amount so that we can get a clear comparison of it. So let's weigh all these vegetables that I have cut earlier. This is the weighing balance, which is present in my lab. If you want to use this, you can visit. If you don't have it at home, you can visit any grocery shop. These are very common in every grocery shop that you have in your neighborhood. As you can see, this is approximately 2 gram. I have already cut them according to the size I want. So this is also 2 gram. This is also slightly over than 2 gram, but it's almost 2 gram. This is slightly less than 2 gram, but I think that will do. I will try to take 2 gram of sprouts so that we can give a clear comparison of it. Now it is almost 2 gram. Now I will take this mortar pestle to grind this vegetable and sprouts and take them directly into these beakers. Again, I am saying this, whatever utensils are available to you, please use them. I will cut this into very smaller size so that I can grind them easily. You can do that too, but please careful with the knife. We are breaking this vegetable so that the starch will release from it and we can have the starch directly for the analysis. So I am almost done with my first vegetable and I will directly transfer this into a beaker. One of my video. After transferring this into the beaker, I will mark it as 1 so that I can remember in which beaker what are the samples. The marking is totally for me. You can mark it in alphabets also that depend on them. After using for once, just rinse the utensils you have used so that you won't get any cross contamination for the next sample. As for the next sample, I have taken the piece of potato. For the sample number 2 or Bika number 2, I have taken the sample potato. And now label it as 2. Again rinse it well so that I won't get any cross contamination. As for my third sample, I have taken 2 grams of carrot. And start grinding it very well. I'm done with my third number of sample, it is circular. I'm transferring it to a new beaker. as sample number 3 or beaker number 3. Now my fourth sample is a piece of ginger. And they are transferred to beaker number 4. Now for the fourth sample, I have taken some sprouts and measured them. They are almost 2 gram. They are quite easy to grind. Now I'll transfer this. Now I will transfer this to the petri plate again. And I have added some water in this petri plate. Grinding is also a very important part of the whole experiment. This is basically our swing. If we don't sway how will the starch will release and we'll get it on in our experiment? So for that, please grind the vegetables very well so that we can get a larger amount of starch that it has. No matter how much it has, but so that we can get a very good number of starch from the vegetable or the sample itself. Be careful with the grinding of chili. I will try to take some water to get all this into my beaker. And I have told you to get a number for everything. Number this is the ginger one as 4. The petrified one is 5. And this beaker is number 6. If you remember at the very beginning of our activity, I have put some rice to get boiled. These are now ready, and now I will start with the experiment by adding some water in its beaker. I will try to add equal amount of water in each beaker so that we can get a very good comparison of everything. As you have seen, I have put 3 drops of water in the rice beaker. So now for the others also I will try to do that. As you have seen, I have put already 1 dropper of water in the chili beaker. So now I will put just 2 droppers so that it will get equal to the other beakers. And I have added water in all the beakers. Now I have to add this betadine solution. Now why this betadine solution I am adding, or why not any other medicine that we have? Actually I am adding this as not a medicine but as a iodine solution. As you can see the name in the name itself, it is forbidden iodine zamicides. So for this iodine part I am using this. So for this iodine part, I am using this. This will act as an iodine solution for our experiment. Now you may ask why we are not using the very commonly available iodine for us, that is iodine in our local use or regular use salt. So the reason behind is that for this experiment to take place, for the next result to come, we need a certain amount of betadine. We need certain amount of iodine, which is not very much in larger number, but which is not that small amount also that is present in our salt. In salt, the amount of iodine present is very less, and when we dilute it in water or any other solvent, it will become very dilute. So they are not enough to give us any coloration in the whole experiment. So we need something more concentrated than the regular use or the near commonly found iodine in salt. So we have used this. This is a very common solution. We'll find it any pharmacy. We may have it in our home also, because this is very common. We use this on a regular basis. And if you don't have it at home, you can buy it or even get it from any pharmacy. Now, for this betadine, I am using this dropper to give equal amount of betadine solution to each beaker. If you don't have a dropper, but you have to perform it somehow and give equal amount of betadine in all the beakers or all the utensils that you are going to use, just follow these marks. They have this 15 ml, 10 ml, and 5 ml marks. You can go up to 5 ml. No need to go for 10 ml or 15 ml. There will be larger amount. You can follow this mark up to 5 ml. This 5 ml mark you can follow, and just pour 5 ml betadine to each beaker or each utensil you have, each sample you have. I am using this big dropper because it is available at my lab. Actually, the betadine amount you will take will be very less, because 2 to 5 drops of betadine is enough for the reactions to take place. I have added betadine iodine solution to each and every beaker, and now I'll try to mix them up very well. Already they have been mixed, but still I will try to get a more nicer view. So I have taken all these samples, and I have added equal amount. I have taken equal amount of samples, almost 2 gram. I have added equal amount of water, and after that I have added equal amount of betadine iodine solution in all these beaker. But if you can see, all the beaker have different colors, and if they have somehow same color, the intensity is very different from one from, and this one is also. So while there is such a variation in color, we have added almost everything same, just the sample is different. So just look at the colors. So why the all the samples have very different color from each other? So the reason behind is that amount of stars they have. Each sample has stars, but the amount of stars they have is very different from one another. When iodine and stars react or they mix together, they will form a very beautiful coloration according to the amount of stars they have in the sample. So you can see, if you remember, this is the rice beaker. In this beaker, I have taken rice, and in this, the beaker has a very beautiful deep blue color. Again, in this beaker I have taken potato, and this one is also somehow blue, not a very clear view of blue color, but it's somehow blue. But this beaker where I have taken chili, the color is totally different from this. So the reason behind this, rice contain the most amount of starch in it. So it when rice is rice have been reacted with the iodine, it will give a very beautiful deep blue color. Now all the potato also have some amount of starch in it, so it is also it has also given a bluish color. But chili don't have starch in it at all, so the color haven't changed. It has changed, but not to a deep blue or a reddish type color, because it doesn't have that much of starch, so that we can determine in a biochemical practical which we can do at home. Yes, we can determine this amount of starch also, but in laboratories where we have more equipments to do such a very critical analysis. But for this homemade setup, we can determine that potato and rice has a large number of starch in it, so that we can visualize it through our naked eyes and without using any instrument for the experiment. So this is the result of our whole setup. We can determine the amount of starch present in the daily items we have used by this simple method of experiment. I am saying it again, this is not a standard protocol to determine the starch. This is just for our knowledge, and by this we can determine that all the vegetables are present at our home. It is safe for the people who are diabetic because they can have more starchy food. It is safe for the babies, so they need some more starchy food, so that they can get they are very active, and so they get more energy by consuming more starchy foods. So this experiment you can do at home very easily. All the items are very commonly available at your home. And for a measuring balance, you can go to any grocery store near you. And if you don't have this iodine solution, you can just go to any pharmacy near you. And I have told you while I was grinding the materials that grinding is some necessary, because we need to release the starch that is present inside the material, so that the starch will the starch is the thing that is reacting with this iodine. If we don't grind this and starch remain inside the vegetable, inside the cover of the vegetables, then what the meaning of the whole setup? So we need to grind that very well, so that the stars come out and react with this iodine that we are giving to the sample, and give this beautiful deep blue coloration, or maybe somehow a very light blue coloration. So that is my experiment that I have designed just to know about the star, what is stars and what are the vegetables commonly found at our home that have larger amount of stars. Now I have keep saying that stars, stars, stars. What is stars and how we can consume it, or how we can have it in our daily diet. So for that, I would like to share a screen with you, and I would like to explain about stars with some more information. And let me share my screen with you. So this is I will start with the experiment itself. Detection of stars in vegetable with iodine. So these are the requirements I have used. Now, what is starch? So I will go by the definition. It is a white, tasteless, solid carbohydrate occurring in the form of minute granules in the seeds, tuber, and other part of plants, and forming an important constituent of rice, corn, wheat, beans, potatoes, and many other vegetable foods. So in this experiment itself, you have seen that rice and potato have larger amount of starch, so that we have this beautiful blue coloration just after dropping the iodine in it. So by this, we have known that starch is present in every plant item or everything because it is a carbohydrate. Carbohydrate present in everything. So starch present in mainly seeds, tubers, and the other part of plants also, but it is mainly in seeds and tubers because potato is a tuber part of the plant itself. And then rice, there is wheat, there is corn. I don't have corn or wheat at home right now, so I haven't used this, but I have shown you it with rice. You can try it with the corn, wheat, beans that are available to you. Anything that are available to you, you can try, and you can see whether it has larger amount of starch in it or not. Now, starch is of two types based on its structure. One is amylose and other is amylopectin. So this is amylose. As you can see, and as by the definition, starch is nothing but combination or it is a carbohydrate and many glucose molecule come together to form a starch molecule. For amylose, all the glucose molecule, as you can see, these are glucose molecules. And this molecule will form a linear structure, and then they are known as amylose. Let me change to another color so that you can visualize it very clearly. As you can see, all these are linear structure, and that's why it is known as amylose. Then the another one is amylopectin. Amylopectin have a branch structure. So this is one line, and then again there is another line. So they are the branch of this main line. So this is known as branch structure. And if you see this form, we call them helical structure. There is in the amylose, the helix is also a straight line. But in amylopectin, they are very complicated as the amylopectin itself a branch structure. Now, the test we have done, this is actually a standard biochemical test where starch and iodine reacts to give a beautiful coloration. And the iodine present in betadine solution is we have just used it so that it is very common for very commonly available to us. But in the actual setup or in the actual biochemical test which is performed in laboratories, they use a dye called Lugol iodine. Lugol iodine is nothing but the aqueous solution of elemental iodine and potassium iodine. Now, again the question that why there has to be two solution we have to take, why can't we take directly the elemental iodine to do this experiment? So my answer to that is Lugol iodine is used because the elemental iodine is insoluble in water. It becomes soluble only in the presence of potassium iodide. So to make it soluble in water or any other solvent, we have to add elemental iodine to potassium potassium iodide so that it becomes soluble. That is, it becomes dissolved in the water or the solvent we are given. This test was described by J.J. Collins and H.F. Guffer de Corbry in 1814, and then it was improvised by F. Stromeyer in 1815. Now, as we have seen that there are two types of starch. One is amylose, another one is amylopectin. So, will they both give blue color or something? No, actually, amylopectin will give the dark blue color or black blue color, but amylose give the black blue color, dark blue color. The amylopectin will give a yellowish orange color. But in nature, both amylopectin and amylose is present. The amount of amylose in any food item or anything is much more than the amylopectin. So when we add iodine to any food or any food item, the amylose will give the dark blue color, which is so overpowering that they overpower the yellowish reddish color that is given by the amylopectin. Amylopectin will give a yellowish reddish color, but this is overpowered by the dark blue color given by amylose. So most of the time we get a dark blue color. Instead, there is both amylose and amylopectin, but we will get only the amylose color because it is more overpowering, than more dominant than the amylopectin's color. But now the question is why there is a coloration. We haven't added anything that has to they need to give color, and all the iodine solution I have added is red in color. Why there is blue color? So the blue color is because if you see in this picture only, you have seen all this helical structure of our stars. It may be amylose or maybe amylopectin. So now these three molecule, this is the iodide ion. We will call it ion because we have three elemental iodine in it. So now these are in linear form, and this linear form will go lie in a linear structure itself and go inside the helix, whether it is amylopectin or amylase, and give out some color. Now based on the stars present in this helix itself, if it is amylose present in the helix, then they will give the dark blue color, and if it is amylopectin present in this helix, they will give the yellow reddish color. Then again, why the coloration change is happening? This is because stars transfer complex. Now what is stars transfer complex, and how did this change the color of an entire sample? So for this, when the polypeptide molecule go inside the helix of stars, they will get binded, and the helical stars act as a electron donor, and the polyhedrid will act as a electron acceptor. That means they will accept the electron that is donated by the helical stars. So when this transfer of stars happen, the electrons of the acceptor molecule, in this case the polyhedrid molecule, will get excited. After getting excited, when they return to their ground state, that is their original state, they will give back some lights. Those are we can observe these lights, and these lights are actually the coloration of overpowering amylose. Now, there may be many factors affecting while we do this whole process in laboratory setup, because here we have done it in a very common manner or very simplified manner. But when we have to do it in a proper protocol and proper laboratory, there may be many factors that may affect the whole process. One of the factor is length of the glucose chain. The glucose molecules that is present inside the stars, that is all the glucose molecule. It may be the number of glucose molecule in one stars may be differ from the another one. If the number of glucose molecule in the stars is more in number, that is the chain is longer, then higher the color intensity. Then the color will be more bright. Now the temperature also, if we heat the whole complex, that is both the stars and iodine, then it will start to decolor, because it will change color, because when we heat it, the iodine molecule that is present inside the helix, inside the star's helix, it will dissociate it, and the color will get faded, or it will change the color. But again, if we the same sample will keep it for to cool down, it will again show the color, because now the iodine molecule is again inside the helix of the star's molecule. So this is how temperature change the reaction or the color intensity of the whole setup. Again, the presence of water miscible organic compound like ethanol, if the ethanol is present in the whole setup, then the color will disrupt, or color will faded, or color will not form itself. Again, pH. In laboratory experiment, which is a very common factor, is pH. in low pH, starch will get hydrolysis, that is, they will get degraded or something. So then the color will not form. So those are the So those are all are about the setup we have performed in a very simple. We have performed it in a simplified manner, but I have explained the laboratory techniques also, how we can determine the starch amount in laboratory. We will get all the food companies label that this amount of starch present in it, this amount of starch is present in it. How did they measure? So this is the laboratory. This I have explained is the laboratory technique they have used to determine the exact amount of starch present in any food item. Now, the sources of starch. Where is starch is coming from? I know they are present in the food items we bought, but where are they coming from actually? So they are, as I have told in the first slide itself, that they are carbohydrate, and carbohydrates are produced by plants. So all the extra food plant produce their food by photosynthesis. But in the whole day, they have produced a large amount of food, which is more than they need. So they store the extra food in the form of starch. So the extra food of plants is known as starch. In the case of human, we call it glycogen. As I have remarked, it is the most important carbohydrate in human diet. But where are the source of our daily diet? That the cereals grain, that is corn, wheat, rice, oats, and legumes like dried beans, and some root and tubers like potato, tapioca, arrowroots, etc. So these are the main source of our daily diet. You can check these items also if you want to know the amount of stars they have, and these are very good starchy food, so please include this into your diet for at least if you don't have diabetes. For diabetic people this is very dangerous, but if you don't have diabetic and you are healthy, please include this starchy item in your diet. So these are some commonly found materials that have larger amount of starch content in them. Now, food is not only the use of starch. The starch industry is much more than food. These are the main example of what I am saying, that starch industry is much more than food. One is food and drink. The sweeteners or wheat glutens, etc. are starch. Then the pharmaceutical and cosmetics. Pharmaceuticals and cosmetic use the carbohydrate feedstocks and its carriers to develop their products. Again, the animal feed and pet food, the fibers and protein. If you notice all the advertisement about food items, there maybe one maybe say we have more proteins, one may say we have more fiber. So these are actually form of starch. Then in paper we use the raw starch in the paper making. So these are the benefits of starchy foods. Now they contribute to a healthy gut microbiota, help stimulate satiety, support weight and body consumption, and regulate sugar and fat metabolism. What are these? Are there some fancy terms? No. They are very normal things that going on in our body regularly. So when we eat some starchy food, our body get immediate energy because starch break down into glucose, and glucose give us energy. But some of starch doesn't break down easily, and they are known as resistant starch. This resistant starch will go directly to the colon and contribute to the gut microbes. These gut microbes are very important for us also because they are known as healthy microbes, and they help in preventing, they help in various things like immunity. For our immunity, these gut microbes are very important, and resistant starch is the source of their food. So starch is also important for these gut microbes, that is for our immunity. Then again, stimulate satiety. Satiety, as I have told you earlier, that is when we take up starch, it will break down into glucose, and so they will give us the instant energy. So you will always feel full after eating some starchy food because you have already get all the energy you need for that, and it will give not for that short amount of period. The energy will give up to 3 long hours. If you take normal amount of starchy food also, it will give energy for almost 3 hours. So which is very helpful for us. Then again, support weight and body composition. How that that happens? So for this, the as I have told you, some will go to gut microbes and give them the food so that they can give us immunity. Some will again go to liver and they will resist the release of glycogen that is present in the liver when we need energy. Then the body has to break down our body fat just to go and give us normal amount of energy. When liver resists the release of glycogen, then the body has to break down all this fat so that we can get our needed amount of energy. So by that, the body composition, the fat will get burned, and our body composition will be normal or a good amount which we needed. Again, the sugar and fat metabolism, which is the most important thing. As I have told you, starch break down into glucose and they will give us the blood glucose and they will give us the energy. But this is also a problem for us when there is a starch break down into glucose, and our there is an organ called pancreas. They will release some insulin, so insulin convert the glucose into glycogen and we got the energy. But in case of diabetic person, there is no amount of insulin. So in that case, what will happen, the amount of insulin that person's pancreas release is not enough for the sugar that has been produced by breaking down of stars. So that is a problem for them, and then their blood glucose level remain high, and that is dangerous for them. That's why it is it has been saying that when a people have diabetic, he or she should avoid starchy food. So with this set of experiment, you can also determine the amount of starch you have in these vegetables or the vegetables you use in home, and you can alert all those diabetic patients so that they will not get many starchy foods uh, which is not good for their health. So this experiment setup you can help with this experiment setup you can help all the diabetic patient also in a very raw practical, in a very basic level. Now I have told you that starch is produced by plants, but nowadays starch is produced artificially also. And all the starch material, whether it is come from artificial genetic engineering method or by directly from plant, all these have different uses in food. These are sweetening powder in beverages. We get all these sweet beverages. All the sweetening powder they use is the starch. This is the starch. Then in the dairy products, we will get some bulking agent or texture that is also starch. Then we use all these jams. The jams have preservation so that we can use them for a longer amount of time. So these are also starch. And then bakery product, all these cakes and pastries, all this moistening agent is also starch. Then freezing point depression in ice cream, thickening or binding agent in sauces, then browning effect in caramels. If you see the caramel, it will get some burning effect immediately after you put it on pen. That is because of starch. Then cooling effect in chewing gum. This is very commonly you can notice because we all have that habit of chewing some gum in our mouth. Then starch is also used in paper and green chemistry. What is green chemistry? This is nowadays this is a thing where we use all the products that we can that can help our environment, not harmful one. That is basically the green revolution, or the green chemistry is also part of that. So we're in that thing. The stars have this. They increase the strength of paper, then binding capacity of glues and adhesive also increased by the stars. Then bioplastic production, stars helps in bioplastic production. The raw material of ethanol production is also happened by the stars. Again, health and personal care, stars also has a very important part. This is something which is very important part of important work of stars, that is anti-crystallizing in cough syrup. Then the non-carcinogenic in toothpaste. Our toothpaste also have starch which is non-carcinogenic, that is they doesn't cause cancer. Then health benefits in dietary supplements. If you know any person who went to gym or who used to go to gym or now is going to gyms, they always mention this health supplement or protein supplement or something. They all of them contain high amount of starch. Then baby food also have many starch compound or components. Then compressibility in pharmaceutical tablets also. This is also daily life use item. We use many kind of tablets in our daily life, but those tablets are also a part of starch. Again, pet food also have large amount of starch in it. Pet foods are also tasty because they have to eaten by someone. Pets are also important. So palatability of pet food is done by starch. That is, the taste of pet food is done by starch. Then milk powder replacement in calf milk, that is also. And I have told you about the protein intake by the person who is going to gym. Then these protein intakes are also high amount and also contain high amount of starch. So this is all I have to say about stars. I am giving you a very basic idea of stars and how you can determine at home which food product have more amount of stars or which one have less amount of stars. And this practical, I am saying it again, this is not a standard laboratory practical to determine the amount of stars in present in anything, but this is something you can do it for home, for it is for fun and for your knowledge. And with this you can also help the any person. If you know any person who is a diabetic patient, you can just check it with this help of this setup, and just tell him that don't eat this, don't eat that, this is bad for you, this is bad for you, and you can prove it that why this is bad. So I think this is a very helpful setup to do at home, and all the items are available at home. You can try it, and for all the reasons behind or the theories I have explained. If you haven't get any thing or you have missed anything, please go through our YouTube channel Margin Biologics, and we have a video of this whole experiment. You can follow it there also. That is end of my presentation. But now I have one video about, I have told many times, I have told the word diabetic, what is diabetic and how we can control that, or how our body is controlling that diabetes. I will try to show it by a simple video that I have collected. And now I will show you the video of our pancreas, the organ which is responsible for secretion of insulin, and insulin is the thing that control the blood sugar level. So for that, I will try to explain it. This So this video is about pancreas, but I will cut it to a very simple video so you can understand it. So this green portion, this is the pancreas. Pancreas is a very important gland that is present in our human body. Why pancreas is important? Pancreas is important because pancreas has much more work much more function than a normal gland. Why? The reason I will tell you now. So pancreas has two types of tissue. The exocrine portion which secretes digestive enzymes. And again, we have the endocrine portion which secretes hormones. So it is our organ which secretes enzymes and both enzymes and hormones. Which, so they are known as mixed gland as they have performed two functions. The exocrine function of the pancreas secretes pancreatic juice that contain digestive enzymes and bicarbonate. The carbohydrate will break down and they break down carbohydrate, protein, and lipids. These are islands of Langerhans. They are present in the pancreas. These islets of Langerhans contain three types of different types of cells, that is alpha, beta, and these are delta. Alpha and beta are the primary ones. Now, alpha cells secrete the hormone glucagon. The beta cell secretes the hormone that I am talking in my presentation repeatedly, insulin. When there is rise in blood sugar level, the beta cell of pancreas release insulin and they regulate the sugar metabolism and that helps in maintaining a normal blood glucose level. Low secretion of insulin can lead to accumulation of glucose in the blood level. So this is I am talking in my presentation also that low secretion of insulin will lead to higher amount of blood glucose as the lower amount of insulin cannot convert the glucose into glycogen. So the blood glucose remain high, and that condition of our body is known as diabetes mellitus or type 2 diabetes or commonly known as diabetes. So the beta cell of pancreas release the insulin, which will convert the blood glucose into glycogen. But in case of lower amount of secretion of insulin, there is lower the amount of blood glucose converting into glycogen. So that leads to diabetes, or that leads to the diabetes mellitus or type 2 diabetes. This is basically the process how insulin help in control of diabetes or how insulin is helpful in the controlling mechanism of blood glucose level. So this is basic of diabetes that we all had in our daily life. We may have some patient in our home which one is diabetic or who is suffering from diabetic. So this is the process by which they get the disease called diabetes. So that's all from my side. And in the whole presentation, I have explained about the stars iodine test. I have explained about what is stars and why iodine is reacted and how iodine is reacted to stars, why they are giving some coloration, why stars is important for us, and why star is in some amount why star is harmful to us also. So this is all from my side. Thank you so much for listening, and with that I will end my presentation here. And, thank you so much for listening and for the further videos or further classes. We'll try to get you some more fun activities and I hope you like this session also. And for the future sessions, we will try to get more of such videos or such activities. And for the experiment, if you have missed anything, please go to our website, our YouTube channel, Margin Biologics. You will get the whole video with some explanation in depth. So thank you so much for listening. That's for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Himashree, for the wonderful session.
Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
and thank you, students, for being with us, and do join us next time. So yeah, till then, thank you and bye bye.